This episode of the WP Minute is brought to you by Pressable. You know what the best hosting feels like? Nothing. No panic alerts. No mystery downtime. No, hey, is the site down? Slack messages. That's the Pressable experience. WordPress hosting so reliable you forget it's even there. We keep your site fast, secure, and up 100% of the time, so you can get back to building, selling, blogging, or binging cat videos. No judgment, whatever you want to do. Go to Pressable.com/WP Minute and try hosting that disappears in all the right ways. Pressable.com/WP Minute. Pressable.com/WP Minute. Thanks, Pressable, for supporting the show. Welcome back to another special episode of the WP Minute as we hit the holiday season. As the year comes to an end, it wouldn't be right if we missed out on predicting what's going to happen with our favorite, still our favorite content management system, right? Heads nodding. It's still our favorite. Yep. Okay. It would be remiss to not talk about the predictions for 2026 for our favorite CMS, WordPress. Welcome Raquel, Eric, and Kurt to the program. If I have one of those, I have this. I have that, right? Does that do something?
It did.
This is the highest level of production that we can afford around here. Raquel from Wonderland Curious, and also the community advocate for the WP Minute.
I like it.
I got that title right. Eric, managing editor and chief and co-president, vice president, sometimes janitor and accountant and writer and podcaster and videographer and lesson and course creator at the WP Minute. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Is that enough?
Too many titles for me, though.
And Kurt Von Ahnen, co-star of the Agency Action podcast. Let me tell you something, and I'm not just saying this because it's part of the network. I don't miss a single episode.
I'm continuously shocked at the brilliance that Toby brings to the conversation.
Every day, every time I listen to that episode, to an episode of Agency Action podcast, I think to myself, how do I get Kurt away from the other podcasts that are out there that he does? How can we get more Kurt?
You're on the right path so far, Matt.
You need to tweet that. How can we get more Kurt?
And it's funny, when I was listening today, and I don't know if you do this on purpose, but and maybe this is just a me thing. It's probably just a me thing. But when you do one of the voices of like that alter ego of like the person who's like questioning you, I always feel like it's Jonathan's voice. Do you do that? Do you do that on purpose when somebody's like, I'm not going to pay $500 for this website? I'm like, he's doing Jonathan.
Is it all right if I pop around?
Oh man, it's fantastic.
It is fun.
Predictions. Listen, I have some predictions in my head. We're going to go around the room talking about predictions. If you're out there listening to this, or if you're out there watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below and let us know what your predictions are. If you're listening to the audio version and you want to just tweet at us, you can tweet at any of us on the panel or at the WP Minute. Get your predictions in. We'll share them in the newsletter. If you're in the WP Minute community, leave a comment wherever you're looking at this link, and we'll get you in the newsletter for predictions, for your 2026 predictions. I'll go first. Okay, I'll go first, and I'll try to steal one that I think is one that I've been harping on for a long time, and it's going to be the hot take. It's going to be the one that Raquel is going to flip the desk over.
Yay. No.
Her and I have talked about her and I have talked about this before. I think we're going to see a restructuring of WordCamps in 2026 to fewer WordCamps. And it's obviously not going to happen in 2026, but we'll see the groundwork for just a single big event for WordPress moving forward. You want to jump on that one, Raquel, on any thoughts and feedback of that crazy prediction?
Hey, yeah. First of all, way to run into my lane. just now.
Well, I mean, it's fine. We can
No, it's all good.
merge them.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Where I think the prediction is going to implement is that it's going to organically happen and not because the powers that be want it to happen. I know for sure there's a push to bring WordCamps back. And I personally feel all sides of that. Like they're just, especially in North America, they're just not really. I will say Canada is doing its best to keep it alive. But it's just such a different beast now. And, in a lot of the ways that WordPress itself is growing up, a lot of us that have been in WordPress a long time, who have organized WordCamps for a long time, are also growing up. I think about during the beginning and the middle of the recession, the housing crisis, and how like co-working blew up, and it was such an amazing time. And a lot of the co-working I was involved with, you pay with social capital, a lot like our open source community. And then all of a sudden, that model of co-working died because people just got to the point where they could no longer pay with their time and talent, and they wanted to just pay with actual money. And that's the hard part that we're seeing with events. And I know that even from my own personal experience, when I asked about alternative WordPress events and thoughts around it, responses have been like questioning the intent of those who are organizing it. And as someone who, full disclosure, hosts one of those events, the intent is because we're spending a lot of time and effort into an amazing, amazing event, and we're doing it for free. And at the end of the day, need to make a living. So how do you marry that and bring more WordCamps when there's a little bit of burnout, there's a little bit of discourse within our community, and it's really hard to get people to want to do that for free, even though we believe in open source and we believe in WordPress. So I don't know if that helped. I just said a lot more.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, so my thought process is I interviewed Miriam Schwab yesterday from Elementor. That episode won't be out yet, but I did a recap of State of the Word, and I look at State of the Word as Apple Day. Like, if I was in Matt's shoes, and I'm using this as the most prominent event. And, well, actually, Raquel, you were there, right? And here's what I didn't know. For those of us on the outside who just watched the live stream, first of all, the live stream kept breaking, which Miriam said was a problem with the internet at the Salesforce Tower where the event was. But when you compared that, because this is what I did in my recap, when I compared that to Tokyo last year, like Tokyo was on a stage, there was an orchestra or, a collection of instruments and people were playing them right alongside of it. It felt like a grander experience. And when I saw that, even though the temperature of WordPress back then was like, I don't know what's happening here. Me just like observing it was going, okay, this is the direction we're moving in. And from the outside looking into this event, it looked like we rented some office in the, back corner of some accounting firm. Yeah, the view was great, but it didn't look anything special. But then Miriam told me, and maybe you can just fill in a few of the blanks, that you weren't allowed to take any pictures and like showcase. And she said like it was actually really nice. There was like it was a nice spread. There was a nice venue. It looked good. There was like some art stuff that you could interact with or something, like albums that you could take with you or something like that. And she just said that, yeah, like there it was great, but on the live stream, it just looked kind of cheap. And me wanting the best representation of WordPress, that live stream wasn't it, in my opinion. But it was pretty good. Boots on the ground. It was good.
Yes. Actually, I'm like, I could show you guys the vinyl I printed. Yeah, that was a fun little interactive. They just had old vinyl records. I wonder if they were from Amoeba. I feel like, Eric, you would know what I'm referring to when I say Amoeba. Yeah. But yeah, duh. Yeah. But that was fun. You got to actually I ruined a shirt because you use vinyl paint and I got some on my top, but whatever. The space was really nice. It was really high-end, upscale. But to your point, there wasn't a stage, and it did look a lot like meetups that I've hosted here in the Valley, like at the GoDaddy new tower. It was similar. I would say definitely nicer Salesforce tower. And there, really wasn't much of a stage, but the production itself felt still, state of the word. And there were some parts of it that I really enjoyed, like I call it the Tech Bros Program Network, but I don't think that's what it's called. It's just the TBPN. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
that part
I
was
saw
really
that.
cool. I liked that. And yeah, it was, I would say too, it was pretty tame, right? The event itself, there wasn't really anything salacious. I would say even at WordCamp Canada, there was even some more like insightful words that were used where I didn't really see anything at all at State of the Word.
All right, let's keep the predictions rolling. I'm going to kick it over to Kurt.
And I
Do
just
you have a prediction, Kurt?
I just pick something out of my own head, right?
Just pick something out of your own head. 2026, what does WordPress bring us?
So I'm looking at a couple of houses that make plugins and how they're starting to form suites that, if we're not careful, become like little fenced gardens, right? I love WP Managed Ninjas and their products. I use them as an agency, but now they've got like this whole suite, and it's kind of forcing people in the agency space to be like, we're a Fluent house. Or if you're with Adam and his team, you're a Surecart house, right? And so, because Surecart just released that CRM tool. And so you've got the CRM, you've got the cart, you've got the SEO on their channel, right? So they've got their own SEO product. And I think from an agency perspective, it's almost forcing us into these channels where you make an investment in a certain line or vertical of plugin company for the integrations and for the functionality. And then I feel like if we're not careful, it'll stifle us on what's really possible with what we can do, because we'll find our comfort level in that vertical, right? Like they say, the riches are in the niches, and the fear is that you'll get into that niche and then you'll just be stuck in that spot, right? And then I have another, if the show goes long enough, I have another prediction, but that'll be different.
Yeah. Let me just unpack that one a little bit. I'm curious on how you see Fluent is a great example because they have a ton of products. I mean, they are able to develop and iterate at a breakneck speed. And I was looking at their community plugin or product, and I know it's like, it's not just community, it also does like courses and stuff like that. So, and what I'm curious from your perspective as a Lifter LMS representative, user advocate, and agency developer for it, I'm wondering like how you think that impacts the plugins that don't have all these other features but are like really great at courses like Lifter LMS does. And then, like you said, if an agency starts using all things Fluent, do they start going, yeah, you know what, maybe I don't go with the Lifter anymore because now I'm all bought in over here. Like, how do you think that impacts the standalone, highly crafted products?
That's interesting because I had that direct conversation with Chris Badgett, who owns Lifter LMS, and him and I are friends. And so we talk a lot. So I can't disclose like everything, but I can tell you that in working with Chris for the last over half a decade, he doesn't care about competition. He literally doesn't care about competition. I think Lifter LMS has grown in the space enough. Like it was competing with LearnDash really well. And then LearnDash just kind of stopped developing new features a while ago. So, and Lifters kept developing. And so I think it puts them in this unique space where, like, when WP Managed Ninjas, Jewel and his team come out with Fluent Cart, almost instantaneously, they come up with an automatic integration in the Lifter LMS. Fluent Community automatically integrates with Lifter LMS. And I think for the plugin companies that have had a product that becomes, I don't want to say ubiquitous in use because Lifter's not there yet, right? But it's big enough that people want to be a part of that train rather than Chris and the team trying to struggle to get on other teams. You know what I mean? It's like the playing field's just a little bit different. It's like the home field advantage. And I personally think it's kind of cool that courses are in the community tool, but I've never used it because I have an awesome tool like Lifter LMS at my disposal. And the integration was automatic. And the membership tools in Lifter LMS were more more adoptable. They're more intuitive than the membership tools in these other platforms. And so people that like Lifter are going to say, well, I like the membership I like the membership. I like the course management tools. All that makes sense. I just need that community element, or I just needed a shopping cart that wasn't as heavy or complex as Woo at the moment. And so I have a feeling that people are be driven that way.
Yeah. Eric, any thoughts on that before I kick it to you for your predictions?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, there are advantages to having that suite of tools, right? Because one of the problems I've run into over the years is that you're bringing in products from how many different vendors and you want them all to work together. First of all, that's a technical challenge. And then grabbing data from those multiple places has always been kind of a pet peeve of mine. For example, I've worked on membership sites that have also used WooCommerce and that have used LearnDash as well, and trying to grab data from all of these different places into one report is like pulling teeth. AI makes it a little easier, but it's still difficult. I think when you have a suite like this, it actually maybe makes it a little easier to grab that data that you need. So maybe that's just a little different perspective on it. But I can also see, like, as an agency, you kind of get siloed into this one ecosystem and it's hard to get out. And what if it gets sold? What if something goes wrong with it? Then you're kind of stuck with all this software that may not be as good as what it used to be, and you got to start migrating clients over. So it's kind of a calculated risk either way, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Eric, let's kick it to you for your prediction. Your first prediction for 2026.
Okay, so I'm going to go with AI because, that's what we do at the WP Minute. We just talk about AI. That's all we do. AI. No, but in this particular scenario, I'm thinking that a lot of hosting companies are going to kind of battle it out in 2026 over AI-powered features. I mean, we're seeing it with GoDaddy. Hostinger has their own. I think that's going to be kind of the next way for these companies to kind of differentiate themselves. I know, and hopefully we're going to have an upcoming episode on the WordPress AI team. But one of the things that they've posted about recently is maybe hosts making an AI platform available through their service, and that would be something that WordPress could hook into. So I think there is going to be a bit of a race in that area, so that these companies, who's going to have the better AI model, who's going to be more useful and improve workflows and make it easier to use WordPress. It could be all of those things inside and outside of WordPress. I think that might be kind of the next big hosting war we see.
Mm. Prices will probably go up.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Raquel, did you have a remark on that?
Well, I mean, I definitely was going to comment on from a technical side, from a user POV, that, a lot more AI. And it's interesting you say that, Eric, because, I feel like I'm not trying to make any plugs here, but that's a lot of what we're dealing with right now with, like, sourcing all of our speakers and topics for PressConf. And a lot of it is somehow ending up in this, like, hosting world and how it affects WordPress. And I haven't even thought about that part yet. And I was like, damn. So I don't disagree, because AI as it is like, at State of the Word, the AI team talked about how it's almost like cat ears or dog ears, in that, like, the 6 months since the team formed, it's felt like 6 years in how much they got done. And it's just moving so fast. And I feel like it's something we're not even looking at with hosting. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like, there it is. And the prices are increased. And okay, what? Who did what? So that is super valid. And now my head's spinning.
I'm curious, like, how, like, where the battle is won for AI and WordPress, because the Abilities API stuff sounds really interesting. Like, oh, we can, plugin developers and theme authors can hook into this Abilities API, which allows your whatever chatbot of choice to, like, hook up to your. I mean, I know we're probably many months away from this happening, but this whole Abilities API thing sounds fun and exciting. But then that just, like, opens the door to, I don't know, Kurt, you were talking about on the Agency Action podcast, I'm not giving somebody admin access and then not getting paid and then delivering them because they can install plugins. And I know what that snowball effect is. I see the same thing happening for plugin, like my day job at Gravity Forms. If all of a sudden you can do whatever you want with your chatbot and Gravity Forms, now we're going to be on the hook to like, well, my AI bot said it should work, fix it. And it's like, wait a minute now, like how far are we going with unleashing AI onto WordPress? I mean, theoretically, that same thing can happen now because you can say, hey, Gravity Forms, my developer broke my site, but can you please fix it? And I think we're okay with that because we normally go pretty deep on the support side of things. But if all of a sudden everyone's doing it with ChatGPT, what does that mean for us? And what does that mean for like agency owners that, you ship the site to somebody and all of a sudden they said, hey, Kurt, it didn't design my site right. And you're like, oh, I didn't tell you could do this.
Yeah, see, that's where the contrarian mindset of me comes in. A lot of people are excited about AI. I use AI every day. I just did a lunch and learn for the Chamber of Commerce on the practical use of AI for business. Like I'm not scared of AI, but I don't want average users using AI. I just don't. Yeah. And so I actually feel like maybe it's not 2026, maybe it's 2027 before it really we start to see it in mass. But I think there's a core group, just like we talk about the inner community at WordPress, and then you figure out, well, how many people actually use WordPress? How many people are in the community, right? How many people actually use WordPress? When we look at the broad scope of it, I think there's going to be a mass flood away from AI due to AI fatigue and everything getting confused and layered with AI, that people are going to be driven to more of an analog, design and publishing standpoint, especially for small business. Like if I run a dry cleaning business or a coffee shop or something, I don't want AI and all this stuff in there. I just want my menu, people to buy the stupid drinks and pick them up at the counter.
It's interesting you mentioned that because we were having a discussion on Blue Sky the other day about technology that teens are into now. And I have a 16-year-old daughter. She was very excited to get her first MP3 player the other day that her grandfather bought her. And I'm thinking like, I'm all streaming now, I grew up with LPs and then CDs and cassettes and then streaming. She loves records. She loves this MP3 player. And there was a discussion going on about young people especially, kind of going away from this overly complicated tech that just kind of runs our lives now and wanting to get back to something more useful and maybe simple. And I could certainly see people getting AI fatigue and just saying, you know what? I liked it better the old way. I don't need this thing monitoring everything I do and giving me suggestions I didn't ask for. Maybe people start to go away from it. I did see some comments in posts by the AI team where people were asking, are we going to be able to turn this off? Is there going to be like a function that I can add to my WP config to turn off the abilities API? Because I don't want clients messing with this, and I don't want anyone putting anything that I didn't, vet in there. So, that makes sense to me.
To your point, Eric, I work with a really large group of college-age kids every week. And I was shocked to find out that they get excited to get mail in the mailbox.
Whoa.
I check the mail like once a week, begrudgingly, throw away the junk mail, run in terror from the bills. And I was talking to these kids and I said, what do you mean you're excited about mail? That's stupid. And they were like, we grew up in the internet age. The only time we get mail is when it's something cool, like a Christmas card or a gift or something from grandma. We get excited to see mail. And it's just, the perception is completely different. And I feel like if we don't take into account the perceptions of the masses that use the WordPress platform, we get too focused on what the inner group is thinking, and it becomes this echo chamber of stuff.
Yeah. Raquel, you're up. Predictions for 2026.
Yeah, I mean, my predictions are mostly going to be community-based as well. But I did have the AI in there that we're just going to see it just continue to blow up. And looks like we've already talked a lot about what's going to happen if and when it does and how. But very similar. I mean, I definitely was, really concerned about the lack of WordCamps. And I personally feel like there's a place for WordCamps, and there's a beauty behind WordCamps. And that's coming from somebody who now does an alternative WordPress event. But I don't see them continuing. And I'm even now catching wind that other communities outside of WordPress are catching on to the fact that WordCamps are dying. And they are looking at that from a capitalistic POV. And, so there's this part of me that is like, excuse me, and then there's this other part of me. I was like, oh, dang, they're not wrong. So that is still one of my predictions, is that we're not going to see an increase there. But to further that prediction, that we're going to see more alternative WordPress events. And that one is big for me. I thought starting my business, I'd be able to chill for 2 years and just be me, just do like 2, 3 maybe press comp, and then start to scale. And now I'm like, nope, we got to do things now because it's happening now. And I really very much know that I still have the community's best interest in mind, and that my bottom line isn't a capitalistic POV. I very much care about this community. And if someone's going to be doing alternative WordPress events, then I'm glad it's me. And I hope others that do it are like me, where we still have our community's best interests. Any thoughts on that one? Less WordCamps and more not WordPress sanctioned events happening?
That makes me sad a little bit. I miss the old smaller WordCamps that I grew up kind of on. Not grow up, but you know what I mean. I was still an adult at the time, but somewhat.
WordPress grew up.
But I do miss that. I miss, the getting together with the community, and I met a lot of cool people that way. Maybe it will come back in the form of all these alternative events that are regional. Unfortunately, I can't get out to press conf. I'd love to go out there and see everything. I've heard it's amazing. But, maybe there's something on the East Coast that can be done as well. And, we can shift around. But it is a little bit sad to me, because I thought the WordCamp atmosphere was so good. And it actually inspired me to go further with WordPress. My first camp was, I think, 2009 in Philadelphia. And if I hadn't gone to that, I don't know that I'd still be in WordPress today. So I think events are important to some degree. No matter who's sponsoring them, no matter what their backing is, I think, we still need events. So hopefully people like you, Raquel, will continue to fill that void, because I think that's important.
Yeah, I still remember the days of, when I used to sell themes and plugins, and then going to a WordCamp and talking with Pippin when he owned Easy Digital Downloads, and like literally being in the hallway with him as he took my feedback and like built it into the plugin. I was like, this is amazing. Like this, you never get this anywhere else. And when I make my prediction about funneling it down to like one major event, I'm looking at that. Obviously, it's just my prediction and like, my thought process of how I think maybe Matt is thinking about reshaping the branding of WordPress. I'm going on like this gut feeling that Matt thinks I need to reshape the brand and kind of control the narrative of WordPress if I am to continue to grow this thing, right? And we might have our issues with that, but I think that's typical like business play. That's just me guessing. Raquel, I'm curious, who else should we be paying attention to, either on the automatic side or in the community side, to see like what's happening with like the planning? Who do you like pay attention to on that side of it to go, all right, he or she is not doing this thing. I don't see them, collaborating with this. Is there something we should be paying attention to in order to like really feel I don't want to say canary in the coal mine, but like canary in the coal mine effect?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit multifaceted. A couple of key players are Mary, for sure. Mary Hubbard, who's definitely leading a charge there with WordCamps. On paper, from a global scale, WordCamps are increasing. What is so funny?
I said who?
Oh, okay. So in Asia, and so from a not person, but community, APAC, they're blowing up, and After WordCamp Asia in Bangkok, a lot of people's sentiment was like, it felt like going to WordCamp San Francisco 2012, 13, 14, where it's like WordPress hadn't even peaked, and there was this excitement. And it was like, at the time, that was essentially the one and only flagship event, and then shortly after it became WordCamp Europe and all that. And so watching the Asia community right now, if you're in Slack, again, so talking about people to watch, communities to watch, but places to watch is in Slack and the community side. There's the community team. There's also the community events. And so on the event side, you could see the transparency there, and that you could see every application for any WordPress meetup, every application for any WordPress or WordCamp, and they're all APAC. Just about every single one of them. And then every once in a while, you see like a European or like an African centered event, but almost all of them are somewhere in Asia. Now that's a really big, APAC itself is like, we're talking like almost 2/3 of the whole world, in that sense, to some degree, but it is still very new there, and so from us as Westerners, and I include even Australia and Europe in the whole Westerner, sort of POV, there's something magical, I think, to at least be aware of and hold in the Asia community, because I was at the last two WordCamp Asias. I won't be at the Mumbai version this year. But when you're there, you're seeing the most incredible stories and heartfelt emotions around this open source project. And it brings you back to when you fell in love. For me, as a Westerner growing up in America, going to my very first WordCamp in 2012 at WordCamp San Diego blew my mind, because they were so open and friendly, and I could not believe it. And it's what made me fall in love with the community and the project itself. And so you're in Asia and you hear these stories of people who had not been able to put food on the table for their families, and then they discovered open source, particularly WordPress, and they're now feeding their families. And that's still something, I believe. That's still something to not be so pretentious in our Western selves, and still look at this product and see how much of a game changer on a global scale that it is, So watching the Asian community in particular is a really good indicator of at least where WordPress is going as a whole. I don't really know how that helps us from how we bring change here to America, because we're so jaded, including the other Western countries I've mentioned. But I think in our jadedness, if we could just take a peek into there and see what they're doing, I think that will bring some perspective that could help.
Speaking of family friendly and fun, my next prediction for 2026 is the lawsuit is settled and the gloves come off. I think that, again, I think what's happening behind the scenes is Automattic does need to, which I started to talk about in this year's prediction post, and it sort of kind of came true with like cutting the fat and doubling down on WordPress. And I mean, we did see that with some layoffs, which is not super exciting or inspirational. But I think once the lawsuit is done, we're going to see, no matter which, I can't predict which way it's going to go. I don't have a prediction for that. But I think regardless of who wins, if there's even a winner in this thing, we'll start to see Automattic unfold what I am presuming is going to be like a bigger marketing push, right? We are the people behind WordPress, and then there's WordPress open source over here. And I've been saying that for a long time, but I truly feel that 2026 is the year where once the lawsuit's done, we're going to see an all-out push. I have no inside knowledge. I think with Matt investing in I'm gonna forget his name now for Jetpack.
Devin.
That he's invested in Devin and hiring him and bringing him on to lead that product. I think that's going to be the thing that's put in front of the consumer product that Automattic starts to say, here's why we're the best. It's this Jetpack thing. Come here, experience it. By the way, open source WordPress is over here. And then, if my plan plays out, come to our automatic day event once a year where we unleash the new version of WordPress, and you can find all the cool stuff about WordPress here. So lawsuit's done. Anyone want to jump on that grenade?
Ha. My other prediction was actually the opposite, that they're not going to settle.
Okay. All right.
I just see them so dug in.
Okay.
And they've gone through all of this already. And I feel like, to me, it feels like neither side is going to want to give in. That's just how I'm seeing it. I would love for it to be over like yesterday, because it's just been hanging over everybody for so long. But I even saw a post from Matt Mullenweg the other day. A marketing person from WP Engine, mentioned something on LinkedIn, and he reposted it with a comment about, you can guess what it is about.
Yeah.
And I just see this as something that is going to drag on through the year. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to see that. But I just feel like if they were going to settle, it was probably going to be this year, because of all the costs they're accruing, and just, what is it good for at this point? But I almost feel like it's like a battle to the death at this point.
As someone who's getting a little bit of a incidental inside scoop, I would not be surprised if Matt's prediction is true. I feel you, Eric, but as someone who's organizing events and got the front row seat to the fight because of dealing with both companies, it's not even remotely an issue this year. There's a whole other beast that just entered into the ring that is now the thing that is the only thing I'm even concerned with right now. And that partly makes me wonder if Matt's prediction would also come true. Even though everything you're saying, Eric, totally still very much true. And I could still see in like the powers that be deciding, nope, we're going to fight all the battles, all of them, and we're not going to let go. But there's definitely a new player for sure.
Yeah, I don't see WP Engine or Silver Lake above them caring beyond this next year. Like, I think it was probably just like, all right, we got plenty of money and we got plenty of lawyers. Let's just see what happens. And then they're just going to be like, it's like, doesn't even affect, their bottom line with any of this stuff.
Weren't they the ones that just bought EA?
They are part of it, right? I think. That's a great question. Who knows? I mean, there's so many companies getting...
My daughter mentioned that to me, and I'm like, Silver Lake, really?
You're...
Wow, they're really in on everything. Good for them.
There's definitely been some times I'm like, Silver Lake? Is that the Silver Lake?
Three partners. PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners for $55 billion on the EA stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like WordPress. Who cares?
Oh, you're cute. You're cute, WordPress.
Yeah. Oh, we are important. All right. Kurt, let's kick it back to you. Your other prediction for 2026.
Do you want a happy one or a sad one?
Let's go happy. Let's go happy.
So, I get kind of obsessed with different marketing messages, and especially with all the podcast stuff that I do, my feed fills up with all kinds of ads because we talk about all kinds of things. I've been talking to customers. I've been talking to other agencies. All of this like flooded influencer, like heavy cult-like marketing on things like School, Passion.io, Alex Hermosi, all these people. They are wicking some people up into this frenzy of like, I'm going to have this online course. I'm going to put it on School. I'm going to be part of the marketplace. I'm going to have this circle thing, and I'm going to become part of their marketplace. I'm going to be on Podium. I'm going to have this marketplace. And everyone's getting all excited and signing up for these things that are hundreds of dollars a month. And I think from a positive perspective, again, I told you this would be my happy one. I think this is going to, as a side effect, drive people back to, they're going to look for options. They're going to say, they promised me that Passion.io commercial is ridiculous. If you're not making $50,000 a week, you don't have a business. When you listen to that ad as an agency that makes WordPress content for real people, you're like, that doesn't even make sense. But there's people that hear it, and it's like they sign up for Amway to sell laundry soap, right? It's like this crazy concept. So once they pay for 5 or 6 months of this, they go, I'm not making any money. I'm going broke. I'm maxing out my 3rd credit card on this nonsense. There's got to be an easier way, or a more clear-cut direct way, or something with ownership that doesn't cost me, a second payment on my house. And I think that's where people are going to come back to WordPress a little bit in those niches. It's going to be communities. It's going to be courses. It's going to be some kind of like hybrid social site that they want to build, and they're going to try and leverage it for revenue. And I think the people that can help with that are going to see some growth.
Yeah. WordPress does really well, I think, in economic challenges, right? Where, like, when I started my agency, it was the big financial crisis, 2007 going into 2008. And it was just like, you could pick this thing up and build something with it. And I think what happens is like, I don't think we're ever escaping financial crises for the rest of our lives. Let's just put it that way. Like, every year we're going to be saying there's a financial crisis. So we just, live with it, and try to, ride whichever wave up and down it's going. But WordPress, and maybe it's just open source, and that's why it's so important to have open source stuff, is a great fit for, when the people need to actually hunker down and not look for just like a quick fix, but they're actually willing to put in some time to learn and understand it. Those are the folks that are going to be able to sustain this, right? They realize, like, why am I spending thousands of dollars a month on this piece of software, and this guy's trying to upsell me into his own courses to teach me how to do it. And now I'm spending all kinds of money when I can just, reinvest in WordPress. I would love to talk about, like, the tug of war of, like, the simplicity of WordPress and why it doesn't solve that better for people. That's a whole other episode. But any thoughts from the rest of the panel on that prediction? Hearing none, I'll go to Eric. Eric, for your next prediction.
My next prediction. Well, I think we'll go back to AI, because we're the WP Minute and we do AI better than anyone. I'm going to say that.
Hold on. Before you continue, this is why Eric is feeding that statement into the transcript, is because he and I have been talking. Why don't we show up more in AI searches? So Eric's doing the right thing and trying to appease the robots who now control all of our traffic. Okay,
I
Eric,
love
continue.
my robot overlords, and I thank them for the opportunity to be here today. But I will say, though, I think this is the year that somebody comes up with an implementation of AI in WordPress that is not just generating text or images, that it's going to be something actually, like, more widely appealing. Maybe it is something that to do with onboarding. I think when we had Devin Walker on from Jetpack a few weeks back, he mentioned the possibility of using AI in that particular use case to help get new Jetpack users onboarded. And I feel like this is the year that somebody's going to do something really cool and creative with it. Jetpack may well be first. I don't know what else is going on out there, but I think it's time that everybody's implementing AI. Every plugin author seems to be throwing it onto the product, whether it's useful or not. And I think this may be the year that we see somebody do something a little bit different, and just something that gives us that kind of aha moment, that it makes our lives a little easier, especially, I think, new users. Matt, we were talking about that ease of use thing. We tested GoDaddy's Arrow WordPress designer tool early in the year, and it actually did what it said it was going to do. I think we're going to see, bigger and better iterations of things like that.
Anyway, I have a comment, but does anybody else want to jump on it first? So I'm curious. I totally agree. And I think that this is, when page builders first came out, freelancers, agency owners were like, oh my God, now my client isn't going to need me anymore because they're going to build this thing for them. You know, they can just go and build this page themselves, or they can just find Elementor and they can do it, which wasn't the case. But there was probably, like, you know, if there was real data behind this, I wonder how many of those potential customers did level up from needing to hire one of us to build the site for them. I mean, probably a small percentage, but a percentage nonetheless. I'm curious how, if AI gets as good as it's promised to be, how much of that onboarding and that WordPress maintenance intelligence does the average user get, where they don't need that monthly maintenance plan from folks like us, right? If your agent, your AI agent, is in WordPress going, oh, you need these 3 updates this month, and by the way, you need these updates because there was a security release for XYZ plugin. Do you want me to update these plugins for you? Hey, you know those keywords you used in the title of that, you know, product page, it's not going to rank really well in any kind of search term. Let me help you reshape that. Or the images you uploaded were too large, it's going to make the page load slow. Like, I wonder how much of that erodes the maintenance plans, which is a key word that a lot of folks use, right? So yeah, that, to me, that's, I agree with you that I think that's going to happen, because actually WordPress kind of needs it. But how does that impact the rest of us is an unknown to me. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think you're still going to need a human intervention at some point. I don't know, Kurt, I'm sure you have some good opinions on this. You know, automated tools are wonderful to a certain degree, but they make mistakes. It's the same reason I don't always turn on auto updates on my WordPress install, because things break, and I want to be there in case something's wrong. I want to, you know, actually provide value to my client and you know, manually review the site and make sure that it works the way it's supposed to, so they're not missing out on sales or conversions. So I think those type of AI implementations are going to help us. I think maybe they're more even for the agency owner more than the average user. You know, that maybe they can be tailored to help us get things done and alert us of problems, or alert the client of problems, so that they can then in turn send us a panicked email that something's broken. You know, I don't know, Kurt, do you have any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts, Eric. I think that people love the feeling and the empowerment of feeling like they're knowledgeable. But I don't think people in general running some other business have any desire to actually do the work, to actually have follow through, to actually pay attention to the AI notifications.
That's a good point.
I think that's why long term, AI is a great tool, again, for the professional. And maybe it does allow some empowerment and knowledge to the creator or the site owner. But I think more than ever, they're going to leverage agencies and freelancers and professionals to manage the product for them, so that they can manage their business.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because it almost sounds like more notifications equals more hassle for the site owner, right? If they're constantly getting pinged, hey, you haven't updated to PHP 8.3 yet. What's wrong with you? You know, if they're getting that on a daily basis or whatever, it's going to stress them out, right? They're not going to want to do that themselves. They're going to want to hire us to do that for them, so that we are the ones that are annoyed with all the constant chatter from these bots that are probably going to be pinging us every 10 minutes.
See, my master plan, Eric, was to get you to record more audio and video, so that I could make an Eric Clippy bot that I will vibe code and have pop up on every WordPress site, and you'll be the agent. So keep
that's going to
recording
scare too many people.
So I could clone you. Let's go around the horn and throw out some quick predictions for 2026 as we almost hit the top of the hour here. I think the biggest thing for me, I guess some crazy ones. So I think, one, Awesome Motive starts a hosting company. I have no inside knowledge, but I think that's next. I think we see a PressConf Europe.
Oh.
I have no inside knowledge.
Why did you do that? Shut up.
I have no inside knowledge. And let me go with the big one. I think that I think Automatic buys Beaver Builder.
Whoa.
Did you just make that one up off the top of your head right now?
I'm swinging for the fences for my 2026 predictions in the lightning round. Those are my three. Awesome Motive starts a hosting company. Raquel launches PressConf Europe, and Automatic buys Beaver Builder. Who wants to jump on rapid fire next? Even if you have just one.
I'll do rapid fire next. It's so funny because I'm so Mrs. Positive, but they're mostly negative. Less actual WordCamps and less overall WordPress use, because I still, especially in the line of work I'm now in, I'm still convincing people about why WordPress is those CMS to use. And I still don't think we've exited the I don't care about data bubble. And yeah, so I think less use of WordPress and still less or more apathy toward owning your own data.
And that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, yes. Do you actually think the percentage goes down?
Or even just stays stagnant. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Kurt, I know you got a couple of them, or one of them.
Well, I got one, and it might be controversial, but I think that Etch is going to continue to develop, and its user group is going to continue to expand. And I think as great as it is, it's going to drive a wedge through some of the community with some of the marketing and conversations that happen around it and its use. So
if
that's one
you could just
of
be
them.
kind, then that would also help.
Yeah.
It does a lot.
I also echo the sentiment that there'll be less WordCamps and some more struggles with getting your WordPress meetups to go. I think it's great Devin's got a sold out one in San Diego, but there's only 4 or 5 that come to mind in Kansas, right? It's going to be harder and harder to fill these meetups and these WordCamps, because once you get out of your own personal bubble and you get into the community a little bit, you start to see these fractured comments coming from these other channels. And so my next prediction is that somebody, Raquel, Kurt, somebody, really starts a cohesive kumbaya kind of a channel where we kind of get people to get excited and come together regardless of the tools of choice, and just really endorse this open source thing a little bit better, because we're allowing too many fractured conversations to happen that look contrarian and adversarial rather than just bringing everybody to a successful result.
Eric.
I've got two. One is that
It better be AI, man, or you're missing the mark here.
I will do AI. You should give me a chance. The first one is that Jetpack's going to look completely different in a year. I think that's what Devin Walker was hired to do, and it's going to be a lot different than what we see today. And the all things to all people, I think, will be probably a little bit narrowed down. One of my guesses. And the other one is, and this is kind of a bummer, but I see a major privacy/security incident coming with AI. I think it's either going to be national security, international security, but some awful data privacy revelation. I just see that coming because it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. With the dangers that are going on now, even the way that people are tricking these models to provide, potentially dangerous information. I'm actually just writing something up about this. It to me, it sounds like we're kind of on the ledge here of something big, some kind of big scandal. Not sure which company it'll be, but it sounds like to me something like that will come.
And you're talking
government.
Beyond WordPress, right?
Yeah, beyond WordPress, it'll be like a societal thing, and maybe it gets finally someone to take a look at, some sort of guide rails for all of this, whether it's voluntary or regulatory. I think we're just so much in the Wild West with this right now that, something's going to happen and it's going to impact a lot of people negatively, and there's going to be a lot of blowback on it.
Yeah.
Happy 2026.
Maybe maybe that will null my prediction about like people not caring about data. And so then maybe that would cause everyone to care.
It might. You might have a situation where, people kind of come to the realization that I really don't want Mark Zuckerberg to have my data. I don't want Elon Musk to have my data. I don't want Sam Altman to have my data. I want to have my data. WordPress allows us to do that, right? So maybe that is something that Matt Mullenweg could take to the bank and hammer home, because in an age where nobody owns their own anything, everything's in a cloud, WordPress is still something that you can lay claim to, with your data.
Yeah. I don't know what Facebook is good for anymore. Speaking of like Zuckerberg, and like just like zooming out and looking at like the tech giants and like who's winning in AI and who's winning in hardware and all this other stuff. Like I sit back and I go, I don't know what Facebook is doing. I mean, they're generating cash because of their ad platform, which is the same thing that, obviously keeps Google going, to a degree. But like, I don't know what Facebook represents in the zeitgeist of technology right now. So if I had a 2026 prediction for like all tech kind of thing, Facebook takes a major hit in 2026. I mean, Instagram props them up. I get it. But I just don't know what the hell anybody wants with Facebook anymore. And I think we're going to see a big hit to OpenAI. I don't understand what the hell they're doing either in terms of like a tech product. I saw a deal. So you get me on the soapbox of AI, Eric, and now it's all done.
Here we go.
I saw Disney did a deal with them this morning for like AI generated characters for $1 billion. What is $1 billion? Like, what's $1 billion? Like, what? I feel like they're asking for trillions of dollars, and Disney's like, we'll give you $1 billion. I feel like OpenAI is like me trying to get sponsorship for the WP Minute, sitting on the corner of the street, dancing in a banana suit, going, I'll take anything you give me to keep this thing going. And that's what OpenAI is doing. So if I know what I feel like, I can imagine what Sam Altman feels like. So we're going to see two major hits to Facebook and OpenAI in 2026. All right. I had to get that.
There's still lots of boomers and Xers. Sorry. No offense.
What does that mean?
They love a Facebook.
Yeah?
They love it.
I've left it.
I don't
Eric's
ever use it.
the one who's,
I don't ever use it.
I left Facebook when I still lived in California because nobody uses Facebook, only old people. And then when we moved to Kansas, everybody in this small town was on Facebook.
Wow.
And I had to like revert and go back in time and like, regenerate my profiles and stuff.
Very interesting.
Yeah. It's the WP Minute 2026 first annual WordPress predictions with the great Raquel, Eric, and Kurt. Raquel, where can folks find you to say thanks?
Raquel Karina almost everywhere. And that's just because I can't get Raquel. Although on Slack, I am at Raquel every Slack instance. So yay.
Aside from the Agency Action podcast, Kurt, you're at 1,000 other podcasts. Where else can folks find you to say thanks?
Mañana no más. So Mañana no más, all the socials. And then I'm on LinkedIn. I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen on LinkedIn. So when you find me, you know you got me.
Noise.
And Eric.
I am probably the only Eric Karkovack on LinkedIn as well.
Minute.
So you could probably find me there, or my business site is karks.com, Karks.
The WPMinute.com, the WPMinute.com/subscribe. It's the number one way to stay connected. Thanks for all of the listeners, readers, viewers, respondents, folks in the Slack community, for our lovely sponsors that help keep this ship moving. We really appreciate it. It was a great 2025. We look ahead to a great 2026, regardless of what we said on today's podcast. We'll see you all next year. Thanks for listening to the WP Minute, part of the Matt Report Media Network. This episode wouldn't be possible without our amazing pillar sponsors, Pressable, Kinsta, GoDaddy, 20i, and Elementor. These brands are supporting WordPress media and helping us invest in your future as a WordPress professional. Our Foundation Plus sponsors like Hostinger, Big Scoots, Stellar WP, Personalized WP, Weglot, and PatchStack help us keep the lights on. Thanks to all of our members in the WP Minute Slack channel, which you can join too. Head on over to thewpminute.com/support to get access. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hit the share button or tell a friend about this podcast. See you in the next one.